if you're in a season where you're feeling hopeless, you're feeling lost, you're feeling hurt, you're feeling like you're in a hole that's so dark and so deep you can't fight your way out of it, there's no way out of it, this video is for you. If you're not in that place, click off, click away. But if you're somebody that's going through a season of struggle, I want to talk to you about finding delight in the dip. That the dip reference is a reference to a book by Seth Godin, which talks about all kinds of stuff, but it talks about really two things. One is being intentional with where you spend your time. If you have no intention of being a professional swimmer, like so many of us go into things that we do for more than a hobby, but we should evaluate it and see that it's not going to be our lifetime thing. It's not going to be the thing we're the best at. And so that's part one. Part two is find the thing that you're going to be the best at, that you're dedicated to, you're obsessed with. And when you get to that part where it's hard, the dip, the startup, if you've ever seen a startup curve, it starts out high, then it goes really low through the trough, and then it goes back up high again. This is the dip. The low part is the dip. And you can go through that in a relationship, you can go through that emotionally, you can go through that in a business, at school, whatever. And I want to talk to those of you that are in that dip, or maybe you're about to go into it, maybe you just came out of it. I want to say a quote to you, and I want to see how it makes you guys feel, because this is something I heard a lot when I was in this place. And I was in this place probably for the last 24 months. And so I'm quite familiar with it. It felt like a long dip. It felt like my entire life, and I only just now feel like I'm starting to come out of it. And so that's why I feel equipped to speak to you guys about this topic. So I would hear this phrase all the time: you're exactly where you're supposed to be. You're exactly where you need to be. You're exactly where you should be. You're exactly where you're supposed to be. How does that make you guys feel when I say that? For me, I had some level of mix in emotions of peace, but also pain. It's like, this is where I'm supposed to be. How long am I supposed to be here? I had all these questions, right? Like, why? But there's also peace in knowing that, even though the people that were sometimes saying it maybe didn't even know what they meant, they were just trying to be nice and they heard some cool platitude and they would say this to me, there was some peace that was still in it as well. And so I'm curious to know how you guys feel when someone says that to you, because the more that I look at this and the more that you read a book like The Dip and the more that you evaluate business success or success in relationships, which I don't know much about, but I do know about business success because I've studied it, the dip is a part of the process. And so I think when you understand that this is a part of the process, you're ready for it. You're more willing to go through it, right? Like if you were to, say you're driving to work, you're driving from your home to your work, you have this commute, right? And you know that you're going to drive through a school zone and there's speed bumps in that school zone, you expect them. Now, in contrary to that, if you were to drive to work and you're on a highway, you're doing 75 miles an hour and there's a speed bump, you're not expecting it, it can freaking throw you for a loop, right? Like, it's not going to be fun. And so I think part of it is just expecting that the dip is going to come, looking forward to the dip, finding joy in getting through it, realizing it's an opportunity for you to challenge and change yourself. I think that helps have some level of peace. And in that's where that quote becomes true. You're exactly where you're supposed to be when you're going through the dip. And so I think there's a lot of talk around suicide rates and people that are struggling. I'm seeing people lose jobs. I'm seeing all this stuff happen. And it's heartbreaking. And I don't like to see other people suffer. But in that suffering is such an opportunity for growth if you'll just last through it. A quote from Myron Golden, or an analogy rather from Myron that I really like, is going to the gym. When you start going to the gym, you don't feel stronger first. You feel weaker. It's like you start going to the gym and you're lifting some weights, maybe you're doing leg day, like today's leg day for me. Your legs feel like jelly for a week, maybe 2 weeks. And so you don't feel stronger at first, you feel weaker. And so there is work that is being done in you, and you might not realize it because it just feels like pain right now. But if you'll last through the dip, you'll have the impact you're looking to have. Just stay focused, be intentional, and realize that this season, that the dip, is where the gold is mined. If you last through the dip, these are the most important lessons you will learn. They're not at the top of success. They're not in the beginning when it's exciting. They're in the dip. So I hope you guys last through the dip. I hope you can make it even though you feel like you're out of breath, you're out of air. It's not going to be forever. And in fact, this is the best and most important season for you to be in. Lean on people. lean on me. You can message me on YouTube or whatever. You'll get through it. I'll see you guys in the next one.